Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, we've got our second part of our newest podcast, The Whole Avocado. Join me and Luke as we get into the rest of 2019. Well, all the good stuff. This follows on from part one. If you haven't listened to part one, go and listen to it now, and then come back and listen to this. So here we go. This is Cookiecast, The Whole Avocado.
So next one, probably going to be a really straightforward one. For me, it's, book of 2019 that you read. To be honest, I didn't read too many books last year. Mine was, why can't I remember his name? But the first book in the Gone series, which is like 6 books about, it's basically like Under the Dome, but kids develop superpowers.
Alright.
So it's quite interesting, and yes, it is a YA novel, so it's a really easy read. So
you're talking to a man who has the reading age of a 5-year-old.
Well, this is why I read YA novels, because it's just really easy to read. I don't want to give... I tried reading bloody Dark Tower series back in the day, and... no thanks.
I think this is something I discussed on last week's Darkest Timeline. A realisation I've had recently is that I've read more books in the last 2 years than I've read in my entire life. And that's not just by 1 or 2. I'm talking by a country mile. Because I've read a substantial amount of books in the last 2 years. Weirdly, in the last 6 to 8 months, I've actually not read that much. Like when I was on paternity.
Go through phases though, don't you?
Yeah,
it's like...
there was a point where I had time to read, and then that time was kind of taken away. So my time to read had kind of gone.
Yeah.
I've got that back. I got a book for Christmas that I'm absolutely rocketing through. I'm halfway through it already. It's a hardback book.
It's something I don't enjoy reading in bed because they're too heavy.
I do the majority of my reading in bed or on the toilet.
Of course, yeah. The Throne. Yeah.
What was the name of the anime where the bad guy had his bad guy office in the toilet?
I don't know.
I was having this conversation with Sam the other day.
I don't know.
And there was a guy in a robot suit, but then he couldn't take it off. But then, for some reason, there was a girl in the robot suit.
Sounds like anime nonsense to me.
Doing my head in.
Oh, it's a little shifty around. Oh. Okay, I'm back.
I am working my way through the Sandman Slim series.
Yep.
I think there's 10 books. I own them all. I am on... Let me have a quick look, because I don't want to tell you wrong.
Can I just point out that, not having never read these books, Sandman Slim sounds a little bit something like you'd read to your infant child?
Probably. I'm on book 8 of 10. The Perdition Score, this one's called.
That makes it sound a bit better.
Principal being... These might be in the YA category. I imagine they would be because I can read them. Principal being is a guy goes to hell. He's the only person who ever went to hell alive. Spends his time in hell fighting in fight arenas.
Oh, I think you mentioned this one to me before.
But then finds a way out of hell.
Finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
And that was book 1, and I'm on book 8.
Wow.
So it's had various ups and downs, and I enjoy it. One of the ones that I'd read had been really enjoyable. Probably go quite up there in the book of 2019. I have read a load of the... What's his fucking name? David. I don't want to say Firth.
Name rings a bell.
John dies in the end.
Oh,
Is that his name?
no, it's is that the guy? That book I told you about ages ago.
Yes, you told me to read Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits.
Yeah, which was a great book.
Was a great book.
And I wish you'd write a sequel to it.
Well, there's going to be a...
That was a long time ago.
TV
That was a long time ago.
What the freaking number is that? I'm getting muddled with what I've read in which year. David Wong,
of course.
David Wong. I read all of his books. John Dies in the End.
This book is full of spiders.
Futuristic Violence. There's one after John Dies in the End, which I can't think of the name. Try and look through and think about which books I actually read. World War Z.
Oh yeah.
Seen the film?
Yeah, nothing like the book.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
In almost no way, shape or form.
Nothing like the game.
Nothing like the game. I read a series. I don't think I read those last year. I read another series. The Martian.
Oh yeah.
Very good book.
Enjoyable film.
Very good book. Good movie. Very close. There's more science in the book.
Yeah.
Which I imagine would be difficult to get across. And I think there's a difference at the end.
Probably doesn't reference Iron Man.
Probably doesn't. Other than that, very close to each other. One of the best books. Oh, I read No Country for Old Men because I was hoping that the book would make more sense than the film.
Did it?
No.
No, right. Excellent.
Some of the best books I've read in the last couple of years. I thoroughly enjoyed Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology.
Oh, that's supposed to be very good. Yeah, I kind of stay away from Neil Gaiman a bit though. I don't really like his.
Thoroughly enjoyed American Gods.
Right.
Because I like the TV series. I'd watched the first series, then I read the book, and then I watched the second series. The book kind of filled the gap from where the TV series wasn't around. Obviously, it went through a lot of changes between.
What did you watch? What did you read last year? What would you say is that book? That book that you thought, that book there. That is the book of 2019 for me. Didn't have to come out last year, obviously. It's just a book you read in.
I mean, the ones that I've been reading solidly have been the Sandman Slim books.
Yeah.
As a series, they have been thoroughly enjoyable, and I will have read 1, 2, 3 of them last year.
Well, that's what you want from the book.
I was reading the Harry Potter books. I read 3 of them back to back. I started reading the 4th one. I got so many chapters in, and I was just like, I think I might have a little bit of Harry Potter fatigue.
Yeah, you can't read too much.
I put it down for a bit. I haven't picked it back up.
I'm going to talk about that kind of thing in my worst books of 2019.
Oh.
Yeah. Because there's not just a series of books I read, and I thought, yeah. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So, Sandman Slim?
Yeah, because I think some of my more favourite books that I've read recently were in 2018, not 2019. So I'll go with Sandman Slim.
Cool. So, on to the next one. Obviously, this one's going to be a really easy one because, podcast of the year. Obviously, it's going to be the Cookiecast because,
it's the best podcast.
It's the best podcast, yeah.
But if you can't vote for yourself...
But if you can't vote for the Cookiecast, obviously, it's technically a podcast, it's technically a radio show, but
Infinite Monkey Cage?
What?
Infinite Monkey Cage?
No.
Oh.
My all-time... I mean, it's if you ask me, it's going to be every year, because it's so good. is This American Life. This American Life is fantastic. They have like a theme each week, and they usually have like 3 different stories regarding that theme, and they'll have like interviews with people recounting the parts of their lives and things. And today's one was about multiverses, basically, and like the different choices we make and what could affect, like, you know, like
The Darkest Timeline.
The Darkest Timeline, yeah. There was one about 2 twins where basically the mum used to have like keep like certain colours on them in their diapers, and then when they got like taken to the hospital one time, they changed them into Pampers, so she couldn't tell them apart. So she had to name one as one of the names, one of the other, even though that might not have been the case. And then when the kids found out later on in their life, in their adult lives, they're like, well, what happens if I am actually supposed to be, you know, Dave Scoggins when actually I'm Simon Scoggins? It's really interesting, and like they're like doing
691 episodes.
It's one of the only apps I have bought on the iPhone in a long time, because you get access to all of the episodes and you can download them and stuff. And plus Ira Glass is just great.
I was going to say, because the numbers do seem to jump around a bit.
They do a lot of repeat shows as well, but honestly, I can just put it on and I'll just listen to it from start to finish and just be like, this is great. This is like such amazing stories that these people. It makes me kind of a little bit jealous, because other people's lives seem so much more interesting at some points, and you're like, wow. But that's
Isn't that what makes us tune into these things?
Well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's my pick of the 2019 and my pick of 2018 and all the other years of, you know, it's been around.
I don't know if I ever did a podcast episode of the podcast. I intended to in the very early days of the Darkest Timeline, working on the principle that it could be my fallback if I ever had a point in time where I never had anything to talk about. And that has never come up as of yet. So I used to have like Bill Burr's podcast was like my bread and butter. Like, he does 2 a week. So you've got to keep on top. I've had points where it's like, I haven't listened for like 2 or 3 weeks, and you go back to listen and there's like 20 episodes. It's like, oh man. So he was like my daily driver, you know, gets me from A to B. When you need a podcast, he's always there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I enjoy him and his work. Easy listening. The podcast market is quite saturated. We've already had this conversation today. And you try, you know, as podcast creators, we are out there trying to carve a little slice of the podcast world for ourselves. You know, if you look into podcasts they talk about, you have to set yourself aside from the multitude of podcasts that are out there. This year has been a point in time where there have been new podcasts that have come along, and I get wary because my time is so precious. I have to make sure that I'm listening to the best. So for me, I used to hold on to episodes of Hollywood Babylon because they were like top dog #1.
Yeah, I do
episode.
hate waiting for a new episode of something.
So I'd make sure I had a good backlog so I could listen to them.
Is that why you do so many? Because people hate waiting.
Yeah, I just flood the market.
Yeah.
They have been very sporadic towards the back end of last year, because obviously Kevin Smith has been touring the latest movie, the Jane Silent Bob reboot.
Did that actually come out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which has left a gap for me to be able to pick up new stuff and listen to it. So there are 2 podcasts that I've started listening to in 2019 that have gone straight in as #1s with a bullet.
Wow.
One of them started in 2019, and the other one has been going for a long time, but I've only started listening to it in 2019. So, the one I've only just started listening to, which is fantastic, I'll happily recommend to absolutely anybody, is Your Mum's House. Tom Segoya and his wife, Christina P. The reason she's called Christina P is because her surname is Bonkers. It's Pajinski. Mm-hmm. Do a podcast together, and it is, for want of a better way of putting it, disgusting. They often have guests. I download the episodes that I want to listen to the guest.
Yeah, I was always like that with Mark Maron.
Mark Maron's another one. I download the ones I want to listen to. Joe Rogan, download the ones I want to listen to. I don't subscribe to them.
I don't want to listen to them all.
Because they do so many, and there's so many that I don't want to.
Adam Buxton's the same. I don't listen to them all because I don't want to. I don't. Usually, I don't know who the person is. Yeah. I don't really want to know who the person is.
A podcast I listened to in 2019 that really shocked me because it was thoroughly enjoyable. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast where he had Dr. Phil as a guest.
Interesting.
Hands down, one of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
I think I saw some pictures of Dr. Phil's house recently where he's got like guns all over the wall and things.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird.
So, Your Mum's House is exceptional. I personally recommend finding an episode with somebody on you want to listen to. They often have other comedians on. So, Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, Bert Kreischer. They're like...
They all do each other's shows anyway.
Exactly. And that's, it's a
cross-promoting.
Podcast thing. You're supposed to do other people's podcasts as much as you can.
That's how I found Mark Maron, I think. I think I originally heard him on Adam Buxton, or Adam Buxton was on Mark Maron's.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, this is quite interesting. And I'll end up listening to like the Barack Obama one.
Yeah.
And the Dana Carvey one. And it was great.
I listened to Mark Maron the other day. And I was like, why the hell have I downloaded this?
He does talk about the same things in each thing.
He does.
It does get
You can't listen to too many in one
and
go.
Especially when he gets another Jewish person on.
Jesus. Are you Jewish?
Are you Jewish? Oh, let's talk about Jewish. Growing up Jewish.
Let's talk about being Jewish.
Yeah. Do you want to tell me about your childhood?
Were you Jewish?
Yeah.
The other one is a podcast that started in 2019 and just straight in as a firm favourite. I have these podcasts that I feel like I should listen to them on my own in a room, but instead I listen to them in the gym or at work.
Yeah,
I'm just laughing my ass off sat at my desk, or like I've nearly come a cropper a couple of times doing a bench press whilst bursting out laughing and going, oh my god, I'm going to die. Two Bears, One Cave. Bert Kreischer and Tom Segoya.
All right.
Do a podcast together. It's too good. It's just so funny. There is another one that I haven't actually listened to, which I imagine is just going to be awesome, which is Bert Kreischer and Bill Burr are doing a podcast together now. They've only done one episode though, and they keep threatening to release a second episode, but it doesn't seem to be emerging. And like I say, I have my staples. I listen to the odd Joe Rogan, I listen to Mark Maron, Bill Burr all day, every day sort of stuff. But then these two that have come up more recently, I'm listening to Your Mum's House with Bert Kreischer.
Where do you listen to your podcasts? What service do you use to listen to your podcasts?
Podcasts.
Oh, right.
Apple Podcasts.
See, I mine, because I use Spotify for everything. Spotify seems to just have all the podcasts as well, so I just find it easier listening to there.
You get podcasts on Alexa now.
How can you?
Apparently so.
I think I knew that.
Apparently so.
I don't think I could sit at home listening to a podcast on it.
I
like to listen to it when I'm walking out somewhere.
I will put a podcast on if I'm at home and like if I'm cooking. I'll put one on. If I'm milling around in like the kitchen or the dining room, I'll happily put one on. But more often than not, I'll put music on.
Yeah, music's better.
So that is podcasts.
Podcasts, wow. So the next one should be pretty straightforward. Actually, we've got 2 left of the best of 2019. The best purchase you made in 2019. It doesn't have to be like the most expensive, or like, for me it's just like that little something that you bought and you thought, wow, that's great, I'm so glad I bought that. Mine's a bit of a kind of tie, and the 2 things that you roll your eyes at constantly, 2 things I've shown you that you've been like, oh my god, what is that? One of them is the Transformers Ecto 1 that I bought. In its classic traditional 80s packaging. Amazing. Yeah. And the other one, very similar thing, is Dwayne The Rock Johnson in his Ghostbusters outfit wrestling action figure. Both great. Comes with a proton pack.
I think one of the best purchases I've made in, I think it was in 2019. But I mean,
you could pretend it is if it's.
I can pretend. Is a second microphone for the podcast. It was a game changer audio wise. So practicality.
Yeah.
Was that? I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was like, that's one of the best things I've. Something that stands out real clear for me is the Oculus.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Actually,
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Although, when was the last time you played it?
Yesterday.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, I play it a lot.
I haven't played mine probably since 2019.
It's one of those things that it did help that there was a little influx of games towards the back end, and the Christmas sale helped, because I kind of rinsed that sale, because I knew coming towards the back end of the year was the last sort of point in time I was going to be able to comfortably get games. So that has been a particularly good purchase of 2019. I mean, again, practicality. New car.
Yeah.
Because I needed it. It was a need. But I actually quite like that car.
That's good.
Because I had to give up a car that I loved. I truly loved the Astra. But the car that I've got now.
Always good to have a practical purchase for.
Practical purchase.
Yeah. Unlike mine.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're like, oh, I got a Ghostbusters thing and another Ghostbusters thing. I mean, I've had a massive clear out.
Well, yeah, the only things I ever buy are collection-wise is things about Ghostbusters, and those are 2 things that I was looking for when I was in America and couldn't find anywhere, so I had to buy them when I got back, which is fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything that really jumps out that.
Yeah, American football tops. You think that is one of the best purchases I bought? It's great, I love it.
I got was that for my birthday, or was that just a random purchase? I got a signed Sammy Watkins jersey as a gift. It's got all the authentication and stuff. It's something I want to frame and put up, but it's one of those framing costs X amount of money, and there's never a point where I'm going like, oh, I'm in a position to be able to pay that money.
Yeah.
I got a second Russell Wilson jersey in a different
Actually,
club.
one of the best things I bought last year was a gift for someone else, actually, which is a bit of an odd one. I was actually really proud of it as a present buyer.
You were always a good gift buyer.
Oh man, I got, a lot of people won't know it, but Bob Mortimer comes out with these ridiculous cat names, right? He has a whole thing about putting on Twitter some free cat names for you, and there's bloody I can't even think of any off the top of my head right now, but yeah, and then he did this thing with a company called Wordy Num Nums, and they did this basically silhouette of a cat with all his kind of these cat names are in gold in it, and it's signed and dated by Bob Mortimer himself.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so that's up in my living room because it was obviously a present for my wife. And yeah, that was great. I would have loved to get that for myself, but luckily I bought it for the person I live with, so it's in my house still. Really selfish present in a way, but also it was really.
It's good. Like, it's a good.
Yeah, it was. You know, she loved it. She loves Bob's cat names and things. And it's nice to have this, you know, signed bit of Bob Mortimer in there.
Yeah. There's nothing, mate. Like I say, the Oculus was a bit of a game changer for me, games wise. The practical stuff, obviously, you know, so there's things that you need. So.
Yeah. Very good. And the last thing I was going to touch on for 2019. If you had to pick one thing out of everything that happened in 2019, what would be your most memorable 2019 moment?
This is one of those that I wondered whether this might potentially come up, and I was like, because when I thought about it, I was like, there's only really. Like there are serious things. Obviously, 2019, I added another child to. Well,
I was going to say if you didn't say that,
to the brood.
If you didn't say that, then you know, I think that would be like a really cold.
2019.
Birth of my daughter.
In a lot of ways, 2019 was a big year for me. I experienced things that I honestly thought wouldn't happen.
We're talking about good things, the positive.
Yeah,
because outside, you know,
there are experiences.
If it's not today, and we talk about the bad things of 2019.
There are things that there are things that happened in 2019 that were hands down some of the best experiences of my 39 and a bit years. Like I say, having another daughter.
Yeah.
I love having daughters. They are.
People say it's easier.
There was a thing where we went to see Father Christmas on the train.
The Father Christmas?
The Father Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah.
On the train?
On the train.
Did he go all the way to the North Pole?
Didn't have to. He came to us.
Wow, that's amazing.
He landed on top of the train.
That is amazing.
And obviously there's a lot of kids there, and there was a lot of boys, and boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. And all I could think was, I'm so glad I've got girls. So yeah, I've added to the brood, and
I mean, I feel like that should be your your top moment of.
There were. I would say that there was three things.
You could say other than that.
Having another child, having all of my daughters with me on my birthday, and having all of my daughters with me on Christmas Day are the three biggest things that happened in 2019. And like I say, some of those things were things that I thought would never happen, and absolutely made my year. And they were evenly split, you know, from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year. They were evenly split, and they were the biggest things, not only in 2019, but some of the biggest things for me in my life. So yeah.
Very good. See, mine, I should have put mine in first, because mine seems really incidental when you talk about, you know, having your family around you like that, because I don't have kids, you know, I have a cat.
Do you know? Are we not doing that,
I definitely don't have kids. They would have hunted.
I'll just mark down the time.
They would have hunted me down by now and asked for all that money. Dad, you owe me presents from God knows how many years. Don't think so. You ain't my kids. But yeah, I don't have kids, so mine seems really kind of like, yeah, not as great. But for me, it's really sad. It's for that first time setting foot in it's going to sound really sad.
The Galaxy's Edge.
It's Galaxy's Edge. What an amazing place it is.
You can't say oh, because you don't have children, it's not as good. Because for you,
oh no, I never say that. Yeah,
that was, it's just a different thing. That for you, that's a big thing, and that's something that I'd love to go. I was actually having a conversation about
that would
today.
be for kids and adults alike. But for me, obviously, it was at my big trip away, and just going and seeing it. I'd seen videos online, and you just don't expect it to be so immersive and just the theming is amazing.
Yeah.
But that's really sad of me.
Not really.
The rest of the trip is fantastic, but that one moment, and then we went back to it on the night, and it was literally the quietest place we've been to, because everyone had gone home. They'd gone home after the fireworks, and we went back and had another half hour in there. Got on Smuggler's Run again in 20 minutes, and
nice.
It's fantastic, and seeing it all lit up, and the noises, and there's like stormtroopers walking around, First Order stormtroopers, sadly, but because they don't do anything to do with the original trilogy. It's all First Order, Kylo Ren.
Oh, right.
So it's all, because it's actually all canon to the other Star Wars movies. Because in the new Star Wars movies, the Millennium Falcon has the round dish back on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it is damaged in the ride in Star Wars Land. And so it's got a new dish on it again, rather than the square one. So I read.
Okay.
So, how long have we going on for now?
Nearly an hour and 40.
So, we have covered the things I want to talk about, the best bits of 2019. It is entirely up to you. It is getting on a bit. We're both at work tomorrow. So
well, it's one of those things.
We could do it another day.
We can do it another day. It would mean that you'd have to come back. So,
Well, it could be like, people listen.
Rope into...
You could put the first one out and think, this is the best of... And, we're going to talk about...
Yeah.
You can actually edit all this out, by the way.
No, I don't do editing.
You don't do editing.
The only things I edit out are the things that break the golden rules of podcasting. And this doesn't. So it'll stay in.
Well, unless I break all them rules in one go.
Which I'm sure you can manage.
But I just think it's all that.
Well, let's leave it there.
Yeah.
And then that's a clear break, and then we know what we're coming back to.
Yeah.
For
next time.
Part 2, Episode 2.
Episode 2 of the
want to go with?
Whole Avocado.
The Whole Avocado.
And we're going to talk about the negative side of 2019.
Weirdly, I think that'll actually go a lot quicker.
I do. I don't think I've got as many things in, but we've got another bit of chunk of time to have a think about it.
Memory is only good.
Yeah.
You only remember the good stuff. Cool.
Absolutely.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
I think it's a very interesting subject. So we'll leave it there, and then we'll have to tune in for the next episode.
Right, till next time.
So will you, ladies and germs. Right, but it's bye from me.
It's bye from me.
Bye-bye. So there you go. What do you think of that? That's part 2 done. It's not the podcast done, but that was the amount we could get done in the time we had. Tune in next time for more of the Whole Avocado. So yeah, there's that. YouTube watchers, make sure YouTube subscribers like, share and comment and all of that. Everybody jump over to the Cookiecast.com, check us out over there, send us some love. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.